Use setup stores in Pinia for more flexibility. Besides option stores, you can also use setup stores to define stores in Pinia. They bring more flexibility as you can create watchers within a store and freely use any composable. Let's take a look at an example of an option store. Here we have a use counter store that is created using the define store function from Pinia. Inside our store we have a state which consists of a count which is initially 0. Additionally, we have one getter, a double count getter, that takes the existing count from the state and multiplies it by 2. And finally, we have one action, an increment action, that increments our count value. Let's see how the store is created, because this was just the definition of the store. Inside our app.view file, we call useCounterStore and store it inside a store variable. And then we show the corresponding count and double count value in the template, and we also call the increment action if the button is clicked. The running example, we can see count is 0, double count is 0. If I click the increment button, the counter increments correspondingly. Now let's define a setup store. Just like the setup function in the View Composition API, a function that sets up reactive properties and methods can be passed, which will return an object containing the properties and methods that should be available. So let's take a look at the setup example, but this time it's defined as a setup store. We also call define store from Pinia, but in the method body it looks different. We define the same store with the count, double count, and increment method, but this time we use refs and computeds to define the state variables. So refs become state properties, computeds become getters, and functions become actions. And this is way more flexible, as I can show you an example, because for example we could here use local storage from view use. So we need to define a name here, so this, and we need to import use local storage from view core. Use local storage is a composable from view use, and it's used to create a writable reactive variable to read and write from local storage. So in this example, we change the count variable to be stored in the local storage. Let's go to app.view, and here we want to use our counter setup store. If we go to the preview, let's increment, that works as before. And if I now reload the application, we can see that the count value is stored in local storage. When it comes to Views Composition API and Options API, select the one that you are most familiar with. If you are uncertain, start with the option stores.